Any public comments on the resolutions? No. I'll tell you what's going on. Are we rolling? Okay. I want to jump the gun. So, in further conversation with the with USDA, it looks more feasible for us to do the Bridge Street replacement because it is an existing condition. Again, if we went through the High Street loop, we would be required to not only notify the State Office of Historic Preservation and have their input on whether they would like to do any kind of archaeological work prior to construction of the main on High Street, but also the grant requires that we get in contact with Native American nations to see if they have any claims to archaeological rights to that area. It's just a very lengthy process that we would have to go through because of it being a construction. The Bridge Street Bridge, on the other hand, because of it being an existing condition for a number of decades, can be expedited through the USDA, through the Federal Environmental Review process, and that's where we're kind of being directed to go, to look at the Bridge Street Bridge main. With that, we had the engineer here last week. Rick and I met with him, and he reviewed the pipe that we have in stock. Again, the federal government grant requires that you do a comparison, a cost comparison of iron ductile or whatever you want to use, steel pipe, versus plastic. Apparently the plastic lobbyists have a very big lobby in the federal government, and it's a required portion of the grant to do a cost comparison. Our explanation is that it reduces the cost of the grant money that we would have to do. I don't have an exact number on it yet, by us using in-stock ductile pipe that the engineer has confirmed is legitimately available for use on that bridge. So it should reduce the cost of the grant that we need. Again, the other things that are going to take time are approvals through Department of Health, which I learned from Corey at Department of Health that he'd be willing to probably get that expedited as well. He said maybe a day or two because of it being an emergency situation, that if everything's in order, he could probably give a stamp of approval within a fairly quick time period, being a day or two. The other one is going to be Department of Public Works through the county because it is their bridge. So they are going to have a lot of say on what the structural components are that we're attaching this main, reattaching the main to the bridge. Originally, the engineer had looked at some kind of hanging truss system, but he had concerns on the diminishment of the capacity of the bridge by creating holes or doing certain things through the webbing. So now they're looking at different ways of trying to connect it. That's being worked out with county currently. We hope we can get those approvals. All said and done, the engineer with the task order that we have before us feels that he could have the documents ready for bidding by the end of this month. If we go out to bid by the end of the month, we would then probably within 2 weeks ask for bids to be sent in. They would need a few days to review them and make sure that they meet all the specs that they put together for the crossing. And then construction could be awarded. Once construction's awarded, they will then probably more than likely have to manufacture the harnesses for the bridge. So that may take two weeks or so. All said and done, the engineer anticipates that if we went to bid at the end of April, he feels secure that and confident that construction could begin right around Memorial Day, maybe the first or second week of June would be going. And it should only really be like maybe a week or two of work. But it is a little bit strange because you've got to have a rigging that can go over the side of the bridge and suspend without disturbing the stream bed of the streams. So that's it in a nutshell. We did have a previous. It's a go on the Bridge Street Bridge is what we're focused on. Candace again is continuing to try to finish up all the surveys that we need through, again, USDA demands a certain amount of surveys be completed for this emergency grant as well as for the larger grant that she will continue working on with Alfred. The engineers had provided a previous task order. I was able to talk to them about certain costs associated with it. Rick and I felt confident, and I think Alfred agrees, we do not need an engineer there daily to watch the minute-by-minute construction, and that reduces the cost considerably. They did go to an hourly rate on the last couple of deliverables, basically because it depends on how much work they will be involved. You'll see on the last couple, you have the permitting agency review hourly budget, Bidding phase support, hourly budget. Construction phase support as needed, hourly budget. So,
I know in this task 5.0, this bidding phase support,
Yes.
an hourly budget here, it says bidding phase support, such as coordinating a pre-bid meeting for potential bidders, responding to contractors' inquiries, review of bids, recommendation award. Yeah, we could have our town clerk do that for nothing.
no, absolutely not.
Not-
Joyce is not, Joyce, are you familiar with specifications according to Department of Health regulations and
No, it doesn't say
construction?
that. It says-
That's what it's about.
It says coordinating, well, what?
It says bidding phase support such as coordinating a pre-bid meeting, meaning
Yeah.
that's similar to when Eric and I, we've done this before with stream projects. We go out to bid for a project. We make a mandatory site visit for anybody that's interested in bidding where we hand out the specs.
All right, and review of
At
bids,
that meeting-
recommendation of award, and additional coordination.
But at that meeting, we would have the engineer there from the Ulster County Soil and Water District to explain the details, because they get very detail oriented, more than I could explain or Eric can explain, on what's necessary. You know, what size bolt are you looking to put on here? What size of rigging are you having this? What kind of attachment? That's why you need the engineer there for the pre-bid specs. That's what he's talking about. Bidding phase support, coordinating pre-bid meeting for, they don't really need to coordinate it, but they need to be there at the pre-bid meeting. Responding to contractors' inquiries during bidding, they will have questions. And again, Eric can tell you how many times we've referred bidders on stream projects to the engineer.
Closed bids, I mean, are there?
Yeah, there'll be
4 or 5
sealed
companies?
bids, there'll be sealed bids, but they can still ask questions on specifics, because that's what's gonna, their cost is gonna be derived from that. Yeah, review of bids, as I said, when we would take the bids, similar to what we've done with the stream projects, we would then take those bids, hand them over to the engineer to make.
My question was, you know, when we normally do these different bids for the town, you know, they send them in to Joyce and find them dates and all that sort of stuff. That was my concern there. She can do that, but she can't do that.
Yeah, no,
I just hold the bids until they're open.
yeah,
They're, you know, they have to be delivered there. Stamp them in, to get in on time and all that.
I'm just, it's very, like, it's identical to the process we've used on stream projects with the USDA monies already. And again, that's hourly, so it'll be billed hourly, so hopefully we can minimize it as best we can.
So the engineer is not gonna be standing there right over top?
No.
What's he gonna become like?
Well, originally he had like $10,000 for them to be there daily to watch the construction. I said, Rick and I, Eric, Alf, I mean, we can walk by and see where they're at with the
Right.
construction along. You know, they will be there for the initial construction phase and the final when they hook up.
Yeah.
So just to ensure that everything's done by the book, meets the regs. They also have to make sure that, you know, in the grant, there's specific guidelines too, that they have to do this or do that. So they gotta make sure that they're following those requirements for the grant so that we can get the grant award. So,
On the exclusion block, does that mean that they're, it says the following items are excluded? Does it mean they are excluded, or they're just not put in there, but they may come up?
they are excluded unless we ask them to take those on. There is no reason, I can tell you, hazardous waste, archaeological, or environmental studies, that we will be told by the granting organization, by USDA. Hydraulic system analysis, there's no need for that. We've got all that information through our Safari group. Floodplain analysis, we have that information already available. Design of special structures other than pipe hanger assembly and pipe. There's no other special structures to be involved in this, it's just those. Construction certifications, they're not gonna do a survey, a full-blown survey of it, and I've talked to Department of Health, if they don't feel it's necessary, again, because of it being a pre-existing condition, we can use the previous maps of the as-built from the district that show what was there, and we're replacing what's there. Legal review of construction contract, that's gonna be for our attorney. Again, the attorney's costs associated with this will be billable under the grant. So again, he's gotta look over the contracts, make sure everything's copacetic and protecting the town and the water district.
So Rob, we can't advertise for this yet until we get the specs from them and all that.
Correct. So this basically authorizes them to go ahead and start creating the specs, and they had, Eric and I met with two of the engineers that were out there today. They already started doing some preliminary work on it to try to get some drawings as fast as they can. Any other questions?
Do you have a time frame on this?
Again, we hope to go out to bid by the end of April. Engineer feels that it may take a week. We're going to give 2 weeks to bid. If we receive the bids in the middle of May, early May, he would need 2 or 3 days at least to review the bids, depending on how many there are, to see how closely they match the spec documents. And then he will tell us, we'll have another board meeting to award the bid. Then it's going to take maybe a week or 2 to get some of the equipment that the contractor may need. And also know that he's going to probably have to move from another project to come on to this as fast as possible. So it's looking like really stressed to them had to have this done prior to the height of the summer season. We don't want to interfere with the tubing. We don't want to interfere with traffic on the Bridge Street Bridge at the height of the season. So he's saying middle of June.
You could also put in the bid specs if you have more people to work with it.
Correct. And again, we talked to the engineer about inserting that into the language. The only thing is his concern was the manufacturer of the hangers,
Yeah.
depending on what the county says we have to use.
And completed?
Completed by mid-June.
Oh, completed by mid-June. So start at the beginning of June, probably?
Depends on how fast they can get in. If the contractor gets awarded and says, I can start tomorrow,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we'll be good and
Right.
meet the Memorial Day deadline that we wanted, but it's just gonna take some time. That, 6815, whereas the town of Shandaken owns and operates a municipal water system located in the hamlet of Phoenicia, the Phoenicia Water District, and whereas the Phoenicia Water District has endured a catastrophic failure of an 8-inch water main crossing the Bridge Street Bridge in Phoenicia due to extreme cold temperatures, and whereas the town recognizes the importance of reestablishing this main to maintain a sound delivery system for potable water to its residents, therefore be it resolved that the town of Shandaken Town Board does hereby authorize the town supervisor to apply for an emergency community water assistance grant, ECWAG, provided through the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and be it further resolved that USDA ECWAG monies be applied for costs and fees associated with engineering services, permitting processes and approvals, legal assistance, materials, and labor for reestablishment of the Bridge Street water main and move its adoption.
I'll second that.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes?
Board Member Higley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
6915, whereas the town of Shandaken owns and operates a municipal water system located in the hamlet of Phoenicia, Phoenicia Water District, and whereas the Phoenicia Water District has endured a catastrophic failure of an 8-inch water main crossing the Bridge Street Bridge in Phoenicia due to extreme cold temperatures, and whereas the town recognizes the importance of reestablishing this main to maintain a sound delivery system for potable water to its residents, and will be applying for an emergency grant to help offset costs of work necessary to reestablish said water main. Therefore be it resolved that the town of Shandaken Town Board does hereby approve the task order provided by the town's engineering firm of Malone and McBroom Incorporated, MMI, for costs associated with all tasks outlined in the task order attached to this resolution for a sum not to exceed $23,400 unless requested in writing by MMI and approved by the Town Board of Shandaken and move its adoption.
Good. And again, this will be paid for by the grant?
Yes.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes?
Board Member Higley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
So even if it does go over the amount, will be 22,000, it's still paid for by the grant or?
No, we can get it approved through the grant if it's work associated with me.
Okay.
Again, it's just part of the task order. It states it's not to exceed 23.4, but you always sometimes have instances where something comes up that costs more, and they have to explain it, they have to justify it, but then we would reconvene to extend that amount to whatever. But I don't see it being the 23 to begin with, because I don't think they're gonna use the full hourly budget they have estimated on the task order for some of the tasks. Again, those are just numbers I think he threw out at 3,500. Seems to be a repeating number here.
But even if that goes up, that's still fees associated with engineering services.
Correct. So with that, one other note, just I explained to one or two of you know about it. Ulster County Sheriff's Department, through the work program, brought a few inmates up to Glenbrook Park. Little League is set to start off, so they re-sodded and redid the inside, the infield, cut it so it looks like regular infield now, and put some dirt down at no cost to the town. Well, for one small cost, we bought them 2 pizzas and 2-liter bottles of soda this afternoon. And
Wow,
that's it. So-
great.
So for $25.95, we got the infield done. So, again, I want to thank Ulster County Corrections for helping us out again.
I can use them at my house.
If there's no other business, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn. Thank you.
Jeez, Christ. Well, somebody's got to pay me. And that is a wrap.
I'm like,
Oh, God.
You're coming back because I was hiking in the